You're listening to Living Out Loud with my mom, Michele Flamer. Yep, she's a flamer and proud of it. Get ready to learn about queers in your communities doing great things every week.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back to listen to another episode of Living Out Loud. So I'm excited for this one. I know I say this every time, but my guest today has been making people laugh, think, and feel for decades. We met about 20 years ago, back when we were both selling candles at gift shows. And through all the years, I've known him as this light, funny, soulful, and beautifully honest, sweetest guy ever. Today, we're talking about his new book, I Was Born Pretty, a memoir that's as tender as it is hilarious. Jimmy Belasco, welcome to the pod.
Yay!
Yay, Jimmy!
Yay, Jimmy!
Yeah, so we've known each other a couple of years. It's like a few lifetimes, it feels like. Well, actually, you are like the reinvention pivot king. You really are. You have reinvented yourself more than any other individual.
I'm Madonna without the cone tit.
Exactly. I love that. And you're coming in from Dallas,
Texas. I've been here since 1988.
I love it. I love it. And we love to go country dancing. You love it with your husband, Mabo.
Yeah, I met him there.
I know. That's really, really, really cute. All right. So before we get into the book, I asked my guests to tell their coming out story. And I know you have two versions, and I know you could read one from the book and then, obviously tell your other story. So whatever one you want to do first, let's just start it off.
So, okay, I'll just read it. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Telling this story takes courage. Either that or I have no shame or really like oversharing. Here it goes. Have you ever heard of debutante balls? These are glamorous events where young women, mainly in the South, are formally presented to society, sometimes referred to as coming out parties. Well, guess who had a coming out? Have you ever seen that moment when a little boy realizes he's not like the other boys? Hold on, this one's fun. Picture it, a roller rink in a Detroit suburb, 1975. An 11-year-old me, an adorably cute, chubby, prepubescent boy, was skating my heart out thinking I was Dorothy Hamill. I even had the haircut. I was serving professional skater realness, or at least that's how it looked in my head. It only gets better. Somehow, this 11-year-old boy acquired a pink, poofy-sleeved pirate shirt that paired nicely with his bell-bottoms. Yes, you read that right. Those puffy pink sleeves flounced and fluttered with every graceful movement of my fleshy arms, catching the breeze like tiny flags of freedom. If the song from West Side Story, I Feel Pretty, wasn't playing in my head, it absolutely should have been. I felt so pretty, the good kind.
I love it.
I got to turn the page now. I skated with confidence of a seasoned performer, lost in my fabulousness. I wasn't just skating. I was letting them have it, all of it, on the floor. The performance of a lifetime. My inner diva had fully taken over my body. The rink was my stage. I was the star. Every eye in the place was on me. Screech, music halts. But that's not how it happened. Well, all of it happened, except for the very last part. Not one soul noticed. All that beauty, all that grace wasted on everyone. There was no applause, no ovations, and no tens across the board, nothing. And oddly enough, I didn't notice any side-eyed glances or disapproving shakes of the head, simply no reaction at all. Even after that night, there was no mention of it, no rushed discussions, and trust me, I had eyes and ears all over that church. I was the preacher's kid, and I had my finger firmly on the pulse of church gossip. I contributed my fair share and controlled most of its content. I was the mayor of that little village, and in my gang were the daughters of the elders and deacons. I would have been the first to know if anyone had commented on my poofy pink-sleeved moment. Count my lucky stars. Yes, there was a side of me that was highly disappointed that nobody noticed, and I'm not sure how they missed it, but thankfully they did. Maybe I blinded them with my brilliance yet again, literally. Who knows? But count my lucky stars. That was the absolute wrong crowd with which to share my coming out confirmation moment. One thing's for sure, that pink, non-gendered specific blouse had magical powers. For a young budding gay boy, I couldn't wear pink puffy sleeves, bell bottoms, sporting a Dorothy Hamill haircut, and roller skates while Love to Love Ya Baby plays and not feel something. That evening, a door unlocked deep within me. My true self came out to play. I can never let this happen again.
I love
That
it.
night sealed the deal on my guy crushes I'd been wrestling with. I didn't fully understand it, but I knew at age 11 I was not like the other boys. I was terrified. After hearing the hushed condemnation throughout my youth in our circles, I had to keep this locked deep inside. Nobody could ever find out. I was no longer just, it was no longer my body that betrayed me. Now my mind, my emotions, and every fiber of my being were waging a war against everything I was taught to believe. My insides are all wrong. I must guard this with my life. So this prepubescent little boy built a well-fortified, pink-lined closet to keep my darkest secrets safe. That closet became my sanctuary and my prison for the next decade. And the pink blouse with flouncy sleeves, I never saw again. Maybe someone burned it to protect me. Maybe my younger brother stole it to perform some voodoo magic on me years later. I have my suspicions, but we may never know.
I love that so much.
So that was when it sealed the deal on all these boy crushes. You know, I was wondering, all my friends are talking about girls. All I wanted to talk about were boys. And, you know, I didn't understand what was going on. And even though this was not prefaced, I grew up as a minister's son, ultra conservative church. We were so conservative, we thought the Baptists were going to hell for being liberals. That's how conservative this church was. So that was me coming out on a roller skating dance floor that our church put on. And so I had to keep it secret. And then so I had my younger brother turned out to be gay as well. I chose the closet. My brother popped out of mom in a burst of fruity pebbles, wearing nothing but a tutu and singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And that was his platform for the gayest show on earth.
Oh my God, I love Michael Todd. He is one of my favorites still. He's the best.
My poor parents. Like, what do you do with that kid? And so he grew up in my shadow. I lied about who I was, and he was right out there about who he was. And he went through conversion camps, and you know, they sent him to the Boy Scouts so that he could find his manhood in the woods. And I'm sure he found something else. And and then my dad shawanged me into being the junior scout leader so I could keep him alive. Just make sure he didn't, get murdered or not, And so, or eaten by bears.
Oh my God.
So anyway, he obviously didn't find his masculinity in the woods.
No, not at all. Not unless it grew a mustache.
Yeah, exactly. And talk about being eaten by bears. Now that takes on a new meaning. And
exactly.
So he and I grew up in opposite directions, and then the second part of this story, so he grew up in my shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and I had privilege because I learned how to deal with life by focusing on my strengths. And I would be so good at those strengths that I would literally dazzle you with my brilliance. And
Mm-hmm.
and whatever I was good at, that's what you saw. And it allowed me to sidestep anything I was trying to hide. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned at a very young age I could tell stories and
Mm-hmm.
I could control the conversation. You start asking too many questions, I'll get you laughing and talking about something else, and you don't even know what hit you. And we're on another subject around the block, and it's like I
Or
learned how
you've
to
just sold a pallet of candles, with those stories.
correct. And so I became super successful child
Yep.
and did good in school, and I played well with others. And poor
Mm-hmm.
Michael Todd, he was the black sheep, the rainbow colored black sheep, and I
Mm-hmm.
was the golden child, and he lived in my shadow, and it must have been dark there in that shadow. And well, later I hid in his shadow. It's kind of funny how shadows work.
Uh-huh.
I hid in his shadow, and I was like he was playing every stereotype and creating every new one there was uh,
Yep.
that he could in the 80s. And
Yep.
I was able to like stand behind the magic curtain and say, look over there. That's what gay looks like. And don't look over. There's nothing to see here. And I had girlfriends and tried to play football. As long as I didn't get grass stains, I was all right. And
Grass
and
stain.
so that my only goal was not to get my uniform grass stained.
God,
Um,
I loved getting grass stains. That meant I was doing something right.
yeah, and I was like, oh my God, this is too rough. And I was just interested in the quarterback, okay,
Uh-huh. I
and
know.
and the
And
wide
tackling.
receivers in the
And
yeah, tackle me. And so I my brother, I'm sure, was plotting my demise
Hmm.
long ago from my indifference towards him, my uh, I was in my own little world. I have four levels of self attention surplus, which go into self absorption per surplus. I was very self absorbed, part of which just to protect what I needed to protect. It trained, but I became very self absorbed. And he told me one night in our coming out to each other, and he was like, no shit, of course I knew. And that's the night he called me delusional because we were raised by different parents, even though it was our same parents. Mine were different because he put my poor parents through hell. Um, and uh, and he called me the most self-absorbed human he'd ever met. I now wear that with honor. And
Oh
and
my God. Well,
so
yeah.
you want to
No,
ask
keep going.
another
What were you,
question?
what were you gonna say?
So I have a picture in my head of what his plotting my demise looked like.
Okay, I gotta hear this.
I suspect Michael Todd began plotting my demise long before I brushed off his insights during our big reveal, and my indifference to what I saw back then as his melodramatic life uh, did nothing to help my cause. So I have this theory, scratch that, a full on visual of how his plotting my demise may have looked. Picture it, a whitewashed basement with sweaty walls that look like they're weeping. There in the flickering glow of a single candle is Michael Todd wearing a heavily beaded, tattered wedding gown, stitch for stitch replica of the one he made for Miss Piggy when he was a kid. That's earlier in the book. So this one is soaked in uh, tears, mas- uh, tears, mascara mixed with glitter, and smells of revenge and Dracar Noir. It was
Oh my God, I remember that smell.
the fragrance du
Every
jour.
fucking lesbian was wearing that in like 89, 90, in the early
Yeah,
90s.
yeah, and all the gay boys were wearing it in the late '80s. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, in the middle of this room is an altar laden with clippings of my now strawberry blonde hair, clandestine photos of me doing something overtly gay, and the partially burned remnants of that pink poofy sleeve pirate shirt blouse I lost after my coming out party. In the corner on the top of a pedestal sits a glass box holding the prized golden anvil. I handed him a golden anvil when I told him I was gay and nobody else in my family knew. So he was like, he could hold something over my head.
Uh-huh.
And in case of an emergency, one perfectly placed spotlight makes it glimmer with a glow. Like a voodoo priestess, he twirls dramatically around the altar as his voice crescendos into Boy George's finest, "Do you really want to hurt me?" And in the twisted B-roll of his mind, he's haunted by a sinister chant taunting him in my voice. "Why can't you be more like Jimmy? More like Jimmy. Like Jimmy." Fade to black, end scene.
Oh my
So
God.
he and I lived together, and we both were partying our asses off. He was the queen of the Detroit club scene. He was the like the club kid, and I got to join into his band of circus freaks, and I loved it. And I was the clean cut preppy brother, and we lived in a house together with a white witch. That you read about that in the story.
Yep.
White witch lived in the basement, and so he and I liked the same guys. He liked clean cut, all American guys, and of course I did. At the clubs, he could like control the room with his, big persona, but those kind of guys weren't looking at him; they were looking at me, and so all of this is building up to this pressure in our house, and all of what I kind of did to him or didn't do for him in my youth, and I taking the low road and he took the high hard road, and it all came to a head one night. I was up in my room and I was with a clean cut American boy that he also liked, and he yells up the stairs. He's jealous, and he yells up the stairs. He's like, "Jim, get down here. I just smashed my fingers in the car. You got to take me to the hospital." I'm like, "Can I swear?"
Yeah.
"Fuck you." I was like, "I'm busy. Call someone who cares." And
Oh my
because I
God.
was so kind at the time,
Uh-huh.
and he was just trying to ruin my fun. And he was like, and then all of a sudden something switched. He touched his forehead and he turned into this all of a sudden like calm. It was like a sleeper agent igniting itself, and his voice turned in from this high pitched screaming to this silence of the lambs, Hannibal Lecter, like, "Well, Jim, you gotta call mom." And I was like, fighting everything in my being. I knew that was the wrong thing to say, but I was like, "Go ahead, call her. I don't care." And so he sudden magically a phone appears in his apparently good hand, not the hand that apparently had smashed fingers, which apparently he did have. Um, I think the white witch put it in his hand. Anyway, he starts calling mom, and as he starts talking, I literally only remember the first 13 seconds of this phone call, because after that I blacked out. I knew this was it. He's like, "Hey mom, you know how everybody wanted me to be more like Jimmy? Well, Jimmy's a lot more like me." And then I blacked out, and they found me an hour later, just passed out on the floor.
Oh
My cute all American boy was gone. I think him and his white witch made him disappear, and he was never seen after that. He outed me to my parents that night. And
Yep.
all of what I feared my entire life was imploded in that second. And my parents' response, after all they'd gone through with Michael Todd, all the flaming hoops that he had put them through, the three-ring circus that was Michael Todd, it was like their response was like I was the Tuesday night blue light special at the local diner, forgettable, a little overcooked, and not that tasty, and you're forgettable by the time you get to the door. And they were like, "Oh, that's great, Jim. We're so proud of you. Are you sure? Is this what you want?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was expecting tears, crying, thrashing,
Yeah.
and they were like,
There was
"Oh, so,
nothing.
do you mind? You're standing in front of the TV. Could you change the channel 7? Murder She Wrote's on now."
Oh my God. That was
So I'm
it.
like, I was expecting all of this hoopla, and I, really twisted my life for many years to make, and just to come to that. And my brother bulldozed through the wall for me, and I was able to step through. But here's the funny thing, that black sheep grew up knowing who he was. So when he got into his adulthood,
Yeah.
he knew strongly, firmly who he was. And here, this golden child that had succeeded his entire life,
Yeah.
going into adulthood,
Adulthood. Yeah.
I had no clue how to
Mm-hmm.
be gay, who I was, what was fake, what was real, who was
Mm-hmm.
I? So who had it's funny that even if you're going through the shit, like
Yep.
what Michael went through, those people are the ones who succeed in life because they rode the horse. They know
Mm-hmm.
how to ride the horse. They know
Mm-hmm.
how to um, fight for everything they had. And he had to fight for everything he had. And I
Mm-hmm.
had things given to me. So I had to learn to be a good human being, even, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera, who I was in this gay world, and
Well,
all of that.
tell everybody how your relationship is today.
With my brother,
Yeah.
so that night was something magical. He picked the right, I don't know, it must have been the right time. I had spent my entire childhood and going through college even limiting what I spoke with my parents and anybody who would like, and then all of a sudden he opened that door. He became my hero. Either that or I was petrified because I saw his powers and I knew what he could do. Like, he
Yeah.
laid in wait for that long to pull and drop
Mm-hmm.
that anvil on me. So we became best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
I just wanted everyone else to hear it. I know this, but
we're like twins. We're
Mm-hmm.
like
You
twins.
are.
We realize we dream the same dreams often. He has
Wow.
felt my pain. I feel his emotional pain.
Aw.
Um, I helped um, him stop doing really horrible drugs
Mm-hmm.
uh, just by me, uh, the emotions that I shared. And he was like, "That's the most love I've ever felt." And
Yeah.
I was shaking him. I was like, "You want to die? I'll help you die. Let's do it
Yeah.
together." It's like,
Yeah.
you're killing yourself. You're worth something. And it
Yeah.
woke him up that night. And we couldn't be closer. We're like twin spirits. And
I
he's
agree.
helped me and I've helped him. And it's a beautiful relationship. He lives in New York still,
Mm-hmm.
and I still live in Dallas.
I was
We
going to
both
say, we've
grew up.
had some dinners with him when we were in New
Yeah,
York when we were at trade shows, and it was always fun. So let's talk
yeah.
about the title of the book. Um, Jimmy, I was born pretty, right?
And my
And
pretty comes with quotes.
I know, yeah,
I
the
was
pretty come, yeah, air quotes, guys.
Mine comes
I
with
was
air quotes.
born, air quote, pretty. It's just the perfect title. It's funny, it's self-aware, it's deeply human. What moment or realization? So this, I know when it kind of kicked in, but tell about what inspired the story all of a sudden to pour out of you. Where were you? What were you
Uh,
eating? We want to know.
So the part about momish, that part, mom.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents moved in with Mabo and I. My Church of Christ mother and father went
Yep.
from what they were to wanting to live with me and my husband. And one of the most beautiful things I'll throw in here real quickly, the greatest expression of unconditional love was when they wanted to go to the Roundup Saloon and Dance Hall, which is
Yep.
where Mabo and I met. It is a gay bar. And my mom and dad, the minister and wife, were at a gay bar to watch their son, their favorite child, um, and his husband dance. In our church, there was no dancing, no drinking, and no homosexuality.
God, and you're
They knocked
such
out,
a good dancer. Both you and
and
Mabo are great dancers.
they knocked out all three in one
Yeah, they
night.
did.
So they
I
lived with
remember.
us in 2016. So they were already with us when COVID hit. Mom almost died a couple times during COVID. had to drop her off at the hospital and not got to see her, watch her go back, and we couldn't be with her. It was one of the hardest things. I was her caregiver. For
Mm-hmm.
2 years, I was locked in the house. When she was just recovering and getting off oxygen or lowering her oxygen with the COVID, we found out she had a bone cancer. There was nothing they could do. She was too fragile. It would kill her. And if she lived too long, her bones would become brittle and break.
Mm-hmm.
And even just by lifting her or something. So she lived for about another year. No broken bones. They used an osteoporosis medication to stabilize that. But by the time she died, my mom was, for me, growing up, her death is what I feared the most in life. Not my own, but how I would survive my mom's passing. And my mom lived with this sense of peaceful delight, even up through the end. I was in my own apocalypse,
Mm-hmm.
living through an election, COVID, you know, horrible
Yep.
shit, and then finding out my mom is dying and there's nothing I can do. And I had to hold her hand through every process. So by the time I had lost my marbles and she died in 2022
Right.
in March, and within a week, I said to Mabo, I was like, I'm getting in my car
Yeah.
and I have to drive.
Yeah. I
And
remember
and
that.
and he said,
Wow.
take your dad with you.
Uh-huh.
Please take as long as you want, but take your dad with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, we got in, he packed us within the hour. He's like, here, and he buckled dad in. You know, dad was just wondering where dinner was, and I was like, he's like, we're going on a trip. And so on this trip, I started learning about my mom and how much of an unconditional love being she was. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was mostly just for me. And
Mm.
she was handing it out like candy. We with my dad, we stayed at all our church friends and all his, people that went to the church. And we
Yep.
went to the church where he preached. And every single person used those words, the words unconditional love, to
Mm.
express my mom.
Mm.
And that stuck with me. And her best friend in the hospital, first person we actually met with that started this whole thing, is she was dying. Well, she ended up only living a little bit longer. She had just had a heart surgery. She was in her 90s and intensive care. And we were in there with her. And she called me over, and she was extremely conservative. Our parents were a little less conservative in that conservative world, but she was
Mhm.
very right wing in every way of religion, politics, everything, harshly. And of course, she did not approve of my lifestyle. And I knew it, and it was very well established. And she said to me, she called me over, she says, I owe you an apology. And I said, for what? She's like, I judged you very harshly for your
Mm.
lifestyle. And
Mhm.
it was your mother's love and your love in return
Mm.
that softened my heart and
Mhm.
changed my mind. And I was like, that I couldn't breathe. All I could mouth the word thank you. And that stuck with me.
You
My
know what
mom,
though? Receiving it is as with the gratitude that you felt in that moment and the fact that you could only muster up thank you, that is that is all that was needed.
you know, and she passed. Those were the last words she said to me the last time we spoke.
Wow.
And I grew up with that family, and she was
Mhm.
like my second mom. And that sat with me after dropping dad off, and I'm now on my road trip. I ended up driving. I pulled a Forrest
Wait,
Gump.
wait, would you wait one second. Would you say that that was like one of your most important pearls that you received, or was
That
there?
was that was the first pearl, and it came
Mhm.
from my. I called her mom too,
Yeah.
um, mom number two, and yeah, because and I kind of tell this story as I went out because I'd lost my marbles, and instead I found mom's pearls,
Pearls, right. And
and
I love that.
and
It's a
I
beautiful
just now
analogy.
you just brought the thought to me that really the first pearl was thrown was from mom number two, even though my mom had been throwing them my whole life. And, I was, the pretty little boy I was, in my mind, short attention span, self-absorbed. I was scotching over everything and dodging them like dodgeballs my whole life. And I didn't catch her pearls. And so I was driving and thinking about mom and her unconditional love and how much she changed her world and all
Mm-hmm.
these people that she didn't even know has have had their worlds changed because of
Mm-hmm.
her just being
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I
Jim,
asked
you're the same way, babe.
well,
Jimmy,
if
you
you
are the
thought
same.
if you thought I didn't know I was, I
Yeah.
don't know. And what I've grown to be since
Mm-hmm.
even the last time you and I saw each other, what I've grown from since then,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's a beautiful place. What's going on in my head, in my
Finally.
life,
I'm so
and
glad.
my overthinking mind is gone, and it was
Well,
catching her
then
pearls.
now you're just witnessing and living
Yeah,
how if you could have seen you through my eyes,
yeah.
now it's matching. Now you see yourself the same way we see you.
I didn't even think of that. But
How
I
fr
can't. Yeah, I can't think of
it's
that. I mean, I'm glad you think of that, and now I can see it from your eyes.
right.
Um, that's a good insight, but that's hard. I mean, I, I've always thought I was loving, and my mom, through those pearls that she tossed me,
Mm-hmm.
handed me a roadmap to
Mm-hmm.
how. Because my first question was, how do you become unconditional love? Like how?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how that. I don't know. I heard all these people talking about, and then all of a sudden, I got a thump, a
Yep.
flick of the finger on my right hand side, and I
Yep.
know that thump. That's the thump I used to get in church, sitting in front of her in the pew before I could go to the teenage section. And
Yeah.
if I wasn't paying attention, I'd get that little thump. And I got that thump, and in my head immediately was a message from mom in her
Yep.
voice. And I started listening, and I realized mom's talking to me. I asked a question, and mom answered. And so
Yep.
I started asking questions of mom, and I would each time get a thump, and I would get the answer. And I listened for the first time in over 50 years. And that's kind of sort of where I was born pretty, but mine came with quotes. Please be patient, please be kind, because I'm a little slow. Took me over a half a century to find, and when I applied what mom taught me with those pearls, the things that I had been chasing for 50 some odd years, peace of mind and lasting joy, you
Yeah.
can't you can't buy those. You
No.
cannot buy those. And think of how many people would want to have bought them but couldn't have, and you can't buy those.
Well, no, if you had
By
bought it, you wouldn't appreciate it the way you do.
by applying what she taught me through
Mm.
those pearls, it was like the byproduct of what living life with unconditional love. I didn't expect it, wasn't looking for it, that all of a sudden I'm living in this sense of, I now call it peaceful delight. I that term came up when I was writing my book, and I was talking about how mom lived her life. I said she lived in this sense of um, peace and delight. It's like peaceful delight. That was mom. And all of a sudden I started living, I like, and I didn't even know it until someone asked me a question, and I was like, I'm freer than I've ever been. And I
Mhm.
realized that since I've been living life in unconditional love, with unconditional loving myself and loving others equally.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she even showed me the path of how to do it. Like, how do I love everybody? I mean, for crying out loud, I don't like everybody. How can I love everybody?
That's
I
right.
can't agree with everybody, but she showed me the path. Seriously, on this
Yeah, I
first book, I
know.
asked 8 questions, and I got 8 responses. I applied them in my life, and I found peace of mind. I'm a really good overthinking overthinker. And
Mm-hmm.
that can really help you in business. I succeeded because of that, but it
Yeah.
can also kill you
Yeah.
and destroy you. And
Yeah.
I've had bouts of with peace, but I now find out they were probably just happiness. I've I now live with this cocktail that I now call peaceful delight, that is on this sense of ongoing peace. You always know you have it. It's there. It's not all ups. There's ups and downs within it.
Wait, so
Happy.
what would you say to somebody who doesn't realize they're so close to that thought process? Like, what could you tell somebody who's really, really sitting in the muck right now, right?
The darkest. I sat in a 3.5 year depression after I lost my business. You were right there with it for me,
Mm.
and you and I talked a lot through it.
Yep.
And um, I know what darkness is, and I know what hopelessness feels
Feels
like.
like,
And
yeah.
I felt it on a different level again with mom in those 2 years. I
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it's that silly little saying, it's darkest before the dawn. If we don't know our darkness, we'll never know our light. The
Correct.
darkness defines our light. So
Mm.
if I had not had that darkness, how can I know how great the light is?
That's right.
So my darkness, thank God I had all that darkness. Thank God I lost everything. I lost everything I thought that mattered. And from it, I found everything that does matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my
Everything that
darkness.
should matter, right? It's like, God,
Yes.
we
My
really
darkness.
lose,
Yes.
we really
Thank
do
God
lose.
for the darkness.
Thank
Sorry, I
God.
keep
No,
talking over you.
I know it's okay. It's one of these things there in life, there's duality. You can't have, you can't go through a breakup and find someone new and appreciate the new because you had to have the pain of the old so that you could know, what you're looking for, what you're doing. But joy and sadness. Like you just said beautifully and eloquently about, sitting in the dark when you're in the light. That's why Abraham Hicks always says, like, when you're in the light, that is a high vibrational space to be in, right?
Mhm.
Authenticity, which is what you bring to this book, what you bring to your life. The authenticity piece is the highest form of frequency. Highest vibrational frequency is authenticity. So when
Right.
we are forget it just being the light, because being in the light is really, really lovely. What you're being in now is sitting in the present. You're present. Like the past doesn't define the rest of you. You don't know what the future holds because we don't have a crystal fucking ball sitting in front of us. So
Right.
living in an authentic state of presence
Yep.
and really valuing when this feels good, like Abraham Hicks would say, when you're in this high vibrational space of saying more of this, please. More of this, please. I want to stay in this vibrational high. And that's
Yeah.
when you create the most. That's when why you think like you're walking down the street and you're like, people are smiling at me a lot today. Like you're
Right.
noticing dogs
Right.
come to you. You're just attracting this natural abundance of unconditional love and joy.
And
And
the more I have given it, it's just like you say. It's weird. I'm now living in what I think of is a bubble. It's almost like the eye of the hurricane. I know there's a hurricane going around it. I don't
yeah,
have to participate in the hurricane or the
no,
the noise, the
mm,
noise. And
true.
and when you get to the end of the book, there's a part where I say I broke up with the noise
Mm-hmm.
and
I love
and
that.
the social media, the noise, the round the clock 24-hour not news opinions, all that bullshit is just noise. And it's
Yeah.
like I don't gain anything from that noise. I thought I used to, but all it
Mm-hmm.
brought me was hopelessness and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on,
That's external validation because for
yeah,
a lot of people, it's really about the external, and that doesn't fill the hole inside
yeah,
you. The
yeah,
hole is filled by you, and you're
correct.
the only one who can fill it.
Yep. There is no white knight in shining armor that's going to save you. That white knight in shining armor is yourself.
Yeah,
And it
and then the
starts
and then
with,
the other white knight that you happen to have is a sweet
he's
Japanese
he's the
knight.
sparklers on my already beautifully decorated cake of a life.
I
Okay.
know he is just amazing
My
because
I you know, yeah.
well, no, I mean,
I
I want to talk about him for a minute, because you and Mabo have this
yeah.
beautiful love story, and how like has he shown up for you? I mean, over the years, it's like, I just love this love that you have.
I called forth. I fully believe in manifesting. I've been doing it it's how I helped, build the soy candle industry, that
Mm-hmm.
I was a pioneer in all that. But that's
Yep.
beside it. I don't live my life on that anymore. But when I was in my 40s and I was ready to call forth, I had started loving myself again and living within my joy and expanding my joy and loving myself. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm now ready. I want to share this with somebody. And so instead of my previous record of, you know, eyes, 6'2" eyes of blue. I let go of all of that. And I was like, I'm calling forth the person who has the capacity for love, the capacity for joy, as great as myself or greater. They will find me, whatever this is, to
Yep.
be the cutest thing on the planet. And I will find them to be the cutest thing on the planet. Those four things, I figured if I have those four things, I win. And if you think about it, you win.
Yep.
It's a beautiful combination. And there I was at the roundup. I'd been dancing and expanding my joy and calling forth the love of my
Yep.
life. And I didn't put an age or a race or it was like, whatever it is, the energy that matches who I am and what I'm calling forth, I'm ready for it, whatever form it comes in. And there across on the dance floor was this Power Ranger doing the most energetic line dance I'd ever seen. No, he wasn't a crazy. It
Uh-huh.
was Halloween night, 2011,
That's right.
and I was pulled around the dance floor, and I stood there. I'll say it, had a mask on. I couldn't see an age, a race. I couldn't tell what sex it was.
Right.
Things are getting a little tricky nowadays, and I didn't know, but all I saw was this joy, this
Hmm.
unabounded joy.
He really is.
And I was like, I'm not saying that this is the one, but
Right.
that's the joy I want in my life. And later found out, John Maston, the cutest boy I've ever seen, and
Cutest. I love
he's
him.
Asian, he's from Japan, and
Yep.
is the cutest boy on the planet. He still thinks I'm the cutest
He really
boy.
does.
I'm not no longer a boy,
Jimmy
but
son. Jimmy son.
calls me Jimmy San. And at home, he calls me Jimmy Chan. That's the more at home thing, which
Yeah.
is a sweeter term of endearment. In front of
Love it.
public, he would say San because it's more appropriate. Um, but his he has shown me levels of love I've never known, and I thought I knew love, and he's shown me joy. So when I
Hmm.
asked for and called for the person who could, it was as equal or greater in joy and love. He is all of that and more. He ended
Yeah.
up being everything I ever kind of wanted, but was afraid to ask for, and limited it to only these four. But apparently, the rest of my being brought in the rest of the package with him, and he has taught me levels of love, and to love myself, and to love my body, and to accept my cuteness. And you'll read in the book, I struggled with my cuteness in the beginning. I was painfully cute. Everybody wanted to touch me and pull on my hair, and because I was just adorable. I was
You
like,
were
hey,
pretty damn cute. I'm gonna say you were adorable.
and so I grew to learn to love myself. even
Yeah.
further through him and with him. And he is so secure in our love that he let me go for 6 months on a road trip. Just in he was probably happy that I I was out of the house and I had taken my dad with me, and we moved him up to Michigan. So I'm sure he got benefits out of it. Uh, but it, let me tell you, he's like a little Buddha. It's like I feel like I've
He's
married
like
a
the
Buddha,
energizing Buddha.
and
Because
he
I've
is
never seen anybody dance literally
it's
so
joyfully.
joyful, but it's like I've never seen anyone dance as fast as he does. He's just strong. And
Yeah,
he just like I like those line dances. I
yeah.
cannot keep up with him when I'm with him. It's like he's the Energizer Bunny on the floor.
When you've seen him do, like, if you're watching Facebook and Instagram, he's like learning gymnastic stuff. Like he's doing the
He's
iron cross
I
and
know, he's
pumping
so
himself up to it.
strong.
And I'm like, I'd be ripping every tendon in my body.
I
Um,
know.
but he's fully into loving himself
Hmm.
and loving me.
I think
Yeah,
you're a beautiful I thought this from the get-go that you both just really complemented each other well. But I think it came from that energy, matching that soul energy that you both like really exude when you're next
yeah,
to each other, where you've had lives before this, all that.
yeah, yeah.
So the name of my podcast, here is Living Out Loud.
Okay.
What does that phrase mean to you?
Living your truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do it for so many decades. And when I finally did, I learned how to breathe.
Mm, I love that.
And I became myself, and I became this person that, sure, I was cute and adorable and I could tell a story and I was a precocious little kid, but I turned into a being even when I was not as fully developed as I am now. But people liked me and loved me,
Mm-hmm.
and they loved me for who I was. And
Mm-hmm.
I had straight people, not that I need anybody's, affirmation for my life, but they would be like, "You're so comfortable in your skin. You're like
Mm-hmm.
one of the coolest gay dudes I've ever met." I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. I'm like, "Thank you."
I get that on the lesbian side. You're the coolest gay girl I've ever hung out with.
Exactly. Isn't that
I'm
hysterical?
like, how many of you hung out with? Well, So
So,
okay,
you
good.
know, I, did I answer that question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. Okay, so and your younger, pretty self, could hear you now. What would you tell him? What age would he be, and what would you tell him?
Oh gosh. Well, when I was having boy crushes, I'd be like, this is okay. In fact, you're gonna really like it later.
How old were you
And
how old is the kid that you're talking to?
at 9 years old, I was
9.
looking at my older sister's friends, boy,
Yeah.
guy friends, and and then they started turning into crush. Actually, I was kind of having crushes at 9, and then but not like sexually,
Yeah.
but interested only in boys, in around the 11 age. I'm guessing like
Yeah.
that. I was 11 when I had that experience on my coming out party on the dance floor, on the skating
Hmm.
rink floor. And that's when I realized, okay, these boy crushes, this is what it means. And
I
I
love
know
it.
what that means. Yeah.
Um, so then what I always do at the end of this is we do a little rapid fire. You
Okay, let's
ready?
see.
You
Hold on.
ready? Are you
I'm getting
ready,
ready.
Jimmy? Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Favorite guilty pleasure show or movie? I already know what you're going to say, but tell the
Which
people.
one? There's Schitt's Creek, Moulin Rouge,
No, what do you
Gilmore Girls,
No, okay, no, that's not even it. The one that I was thinking of is the one that you and Mabo
RuPaul's
always
Drag Race.
yeah,
Well,
RuPaul's
that's
Drag
not a
Race.
guilty pleasure. That's just a necessity.
Okay, I gotcha.
My
This song,
guilty pleasure is Gilmore Girls, the one that you
okay,
kind of have to.
Gilmore.
All right, sure, okay.
I love it. The song that always lifts your spirit.
Blue Sky by ELO. Listen to it. It's the happiest song on earth. If you ever need, and you're in a shitty ass mood, play Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra.
Love
It's
it.
the happy, I love it.
I love it too for you. It's a
Mr.
good
Blue.
song. I do know it. A quote that captures your mom's energy in one line.
Mom was peaceful delight and unconditional love.
Perfect. I love it. And then the last one, if you could have dinner with any two icons, living or dead, who's sitting at the table?
Well, I would love to sit with Rufus Wainwright.
Oh God, great one. Yeah.
I would love to.
The depth.
I love his music.
Yeah.
I fell in love with his music. I walked into a record store back when they had them, and I walked straight over to this. They did have DVDs or CDs at the time. I walked straight over to this CD, didn't know who he was, picked it up, and fell in love.
I
And
love
the
it.
second one is I would love to sit on the bench with Elton John as he's playing in a concert.
It's fucking dope. Those are good ones. I like it. All music inspired as well. Okay, last one. One word to describe your book in spirit.
Oh God, there's a few, but freeing. Freeing.
Mm-hmm.
I became free. And Mom helped me become free. And freer than I've ever been. And I've been free, but freeing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
And I am so proud of you. This is so freaking amazing and awesome. And I am sending you so much joy and the healing that has gone on through this process for you and continues. And may you continue to live in this beautiful love and joyful space.
Thank you with all my heart. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you received that. Thank you, Pod Squad. Stay loud and stay proud.
If you liked this episode, please hit the follow button and remember, sharing is caring. Until next week, stay proud, stay loud.